Can I just first of all give my thanks to the Medina Society for finally inviting me here. No, seriously, is Rochdale here? Salam's Rochdale. Thank you. Oh, mashallah. All right. My name's Irfan. Forget about everything else that's on the screen. The most important thing there is that I am in a position of great responsibility, and I'm very, very proud and humbled, should I say, to be given that opportunity. And it is really nice to be here amongst such wonderful students at Manchester University. I'm glad Shred there, he said the Manchester Metropolitan University, and I'm just going to start off with a quick little joke, and you'll get used to my sick sense of humour. But when I was at university in '95, I graduated, so a long time ago now, I went to pray in what was known then as the Ambrose Church. How cool is that? We had a church as a mosque. Hey, Muslims have taken over, yes, they did. And so it was not so far away, just at the back of what's the main graduation hall at the back there? You know where it is, the other side. I don't think it's there anymore, is it? It's not there anymore? So you don't know about it. Anyway, we went to pray there, and this young gentleman said to me afterwards, "Oh, brother, I've not seen you here before. Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from here." "What do you mean where I'm from?" I normally get that question from people of other skin colours. And he said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I don't know, which course are you doing?" I said, "I'm from up the road." And he said, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'm at the Manchester Met." And he said, "What do you mean? The Mickey Mouse University?" Seriously? MMU, so I'm dead proud of that. That was 95. And then did the PGC in 2003. In between that time, I did my kind of Islamic stuff. I was really, really intrigued as a young child reading the Quran. Somebody asked a question there about memorizing the Quran. Somebody there asked about, is it possible that they just learned the Quran and not understood the full context of it? And I remember racing with my two elder brothers, racing through the recitation of the Quran. My Muslim colleagues here will know exactly what I mean when I say Khatam Sharif, and they're reading the Quran Sharif Spara and trying to get rid of, stuff like that. Trying to finish the Spara as quickly as possible. And at the age of 8, I decided that, one day I'm going to try and understand what these squiggly lines mean on this page for me. I never had that opportunity until after I graduated. I'm really grateful that I had that opportunity. My parents still put up with me in my kind of perennial education kind of vibe. So that MA brought me back to Manchester in 2003, where I did, I'm not sure if you heard that, but it is significant because lots of people have been speaking about Osama bin Laden. When 9/11 hit, I was up the road, on this road here, right at the end, just before you get to Dickinson Road. It's now a solicitor's office, but it used to be a shop that my brother owned called Ruby Books, Islamic bookstore. And I was just there, happened to be there, helping him out one day, and the news hit. And ever since that time, kind of 6-7 months on, lots and lots of questions, people asking, someone like myself who's just come back from Egypt, done his Islamic qualifications, what's this jihad business? What's this Osama bin Laden saying about, killing everybody and anybody indiscriminately? So this whole question around jihad was out there, and he put out a fatwa to say that, and this was 1997, believe it or not, he put out a fatwa saying, anybody out there, the verse that Mufti Zaid just mentioned there, that's the basis in which he based his fatwa, which was basically anybody who is combatant or non-combatant is eligible to die, to be killed, if they support the policies of their government. Now, that's the only little background I'm going to tell you. I'm going to crack on because we've got quite a lot of stuff to go through. The Me and You thing up there, I left it up there because that's my day job, that's my training consultancy, and I go up and down the land speaking to people about essentially community cohesion, how we can protect ourselves from the risk that is out there. And yes, it is a very real risk out there, regardless of what people say about policies and all the rest of it. And I know what the National Union students have said about it, and I'm not here to defend it in any way, shape or form. Please, whoever's writing notes from the government, I'm not here to promote or otherwise, right? Get that for the record, please. All right, what I'm here to present to you is just some thoughts with you in relation to the kind of stuff that I do, because I thought to myself, I don't want to be too disingenuous here, because I do this every day, these presentations of me and you stuff in schools and colleges up and around the land, and if I'm going to be speaking to some adult people in a very adult and a very honest manner, I want to keep it, you know, in the same way. So all I've done is I've cut various slides of mine that are not relevant to this audience, but in the main, what you'll be seeing in my presentation is exactly the same stuff that I do up and down the land with colleges, with schools, with teachers, to try to make them understand a little bit about the faith that I profess and how I believe that it's been hijacked by certain people, and that, you know, how I feel about it. So that's me, and the title there, Inside the Terrorist Mind. Wow, if you can achieve that by the end of today, then let me know, okay? I'm not sure if I can be able to, but it is complex, and no, I'm not going to take up comedy stand as my second part-time job, you know, regardless of how many times you laugh at me. Great that you are reacting in that way. At least we'll get some kind of conversation going. So, let's kick off with this. I want you to be dead honest. I'm going to put up a clip, an image, and apologies to the non-Chishtis amongst you. There is some funky music, alright? Sorry, we're going to have to do this Muslim, non-Muslim thing here tonight because we've got a great non-Muslim audience and we've got some great Muslim audience as well. And the joke's going to flip between the two. Yes, I am schizophrenic. So, here we go. Does anyone recognize this? Music, cue music. Oh, we didn't plug it in. How good are we? There it is. See, it's always funky music. It gets funkier in a second, but before it does, quickly, does anyone recognize it? Who said that? These guys over here, you've all played it? Who's played it? Put your hands up if you played it. Ooh, too funky. So glad this sounds okay. Sounds like that. Please don't tell on me. Don't tell my dad especially. Alright, no. Joking aside. Who's played it? Put your hands up. Oh, look at that. I was in a primary school, year sixes, alright? And they all put their hands up. I was in a sixth form college, nobody's hand went up. And I'm really glad that most of your hands went up. So it just shows you've obviously got no, you know, nothing better to do with your lives. It's very important duty. So, who's going to explain to me, please? Audience participation. Tell me, somebody over here who said that they played it. What is it all about? Killing. Killing? More than that? Twiddle your thumbs and do it. Okay, what happens if you die in the game? You what? Respawn. Who said that? Fantastic. Respawn. For those of the rest of the audience, the one person here hasn't played it, what is Respawn all about? You become alive again. Okay. Resurrection. Okay, cool. See? There's a religious link. Okay? That was just so that you could say that they come back to life and that we believe in the afterlife. Hey, we've got a point there, Muslims. Fantastic. Is that really what it's about? I'm not so sure. I better shift it because I'm going to kick it. That's not what it's about. There's a serious side to it. It's a game, and I do exactly the same spiel when I'm in school, so I'm going to give you the same line that I give to them. It's a game. It's not real. You play on a screen, you twiddle your thumbs on some kind of console, and you pretend you are in the battle. It is not real. It might look very real. Great massive screen there. If you look at his face, it's, you know, very, very realistic, isn't it? That's the whole idea with these consoles, isn't it? Right? But it's not real. This, however, is real, sadly. And ironically, if you look closely at the picture, you know, it's all kind of, doesn't look very real, does it? It's designed to make it look a bit kind of creative and a bit of an artistic impression of being a soldier in the front line. Under who? Soldier in the front line, under who? Who's this image from? Who's promoting it? Any guesses? ISIS. How did you know that? The black what?
Flag and right, top and side.
Top right. Yeah? Okay. Clock that. Clock it. Park it in your heads. We're going to come back to that towards the middle of the presentation. It's really important because that is not the ISIS flag. That is not the ISIS emblem. That is not the ISIS logo. They've hijacked it, and I'll explain to you where that's come from and why they've done what they've done. But, yes, it is from ISIS, and this is why I was talking to you, sir, about respawning. Look at the language here. It's almost like they're saying, stop twiddling your thumbs, guys, in your bedrooms, in your nice plush university hostels, 5-star. Yes, John, go ahead. Right, stop twiddling your thumbs, stop playing the game. Come join us. Your duty, your call of duty, is to come and join the battlefield. And hey, if you die at that time, if you die in that journey, not a problem. Because you're going to respawn. You're going to resurrect yourself in a much better place. A place called paradise. Jannah. So it's a very, very powerful recruitment tool. Be dead honest with me, guys. Raise your hand if you've seen it before today. One person, 2, 3, 4, not many. That's really good to know. It's not obviously that good marketing tools, is it? They're obviously targeting a different audience, not the wonderful intellectual students of Manchester University. But hey, joking aside, this is part of their, and I have to say, prolific, very active, very powerful, very impactful, and very well thought out marketing campaign. And I often say this as an imam to my fellow imams, do you know what? We all need to go on marketing courses. Because what's marketing and advertising all about? Selling a product. We have the greatest product in the entire world, so we believe. And we have the greatest exemplar in the entire globe in the form of our noble Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. And we believe that his teachings and his wisdom and his message is universal. The greatest message for all of mankind. We talk about this when we do the celebrations of Mawlid. Celebrating and singing and shouting and screaming. Yes, we love him. He is the universal prophet. He is the mercy to the entire mankind. Well, how many people knew half the stuff that you've just heard from Mufti Zaid's presentation earlier on today? I'm eavesdropping over here, and they were like, oh, we heard so much stuff today which we didn't know. So we got our marketing wrong, guys. Within a society, we got a job on our hands. That's ISIS and their recruitment tactics. And they're pushing it through all of the social media means that are available to them. And I still have conversations with, you know, even myself actually, yes, I do talk to myself, yeah, about, do I need to be on Twitter, do I need to be on Facebook, do I need to be pushing my tweets and my followers and all the rest of it, do I need to be this groupie imam? I'm not so sure. And then I look at stuff from these guys, and I look at their 13 million or so tweets over 1 month, and I'm thinking, yeah, you know what, man, forget all of this stuff, and just get on there and get the message out there if you think you've got something good to share. So, just to start us off with that conversation. Any comments, questions, shock, horrors? Nothing? That's cool. Let's go, Chris. Keep going. Oh, wrong way. Still the wrong way. Come on, put this down. Okay, so we've said that. All right, talking to terrorists. What's this white guy doing over here? Did you see this guy before? Do you know him? No? Any of you guys seen him? Young lady here? No? You'll get used to me. I'll come right up to you and talk to you, don't worry. Anyone know this guy? Anybody in the audience know this guy? Seriously? Oh my days. Shock horror. Gosh, he's one of the biggest terrorists going. Well, he was. Well, not actually is. North Wales. Commit a huge attack of terrorism in a Tesco. And you don't know him? Oh my days. Do you know this guy? Seriously, you don't know Dr. Bamra? You seriously don't know Dr. Bamra? What kind of medics are you? No, you're not a medic student. Dentistry student. Well done. Give the guy a round of applause. Speaking to my manager. I knew there's always one smart aleck, isn't there? What's your name, sir? Ennis. Go for it, Ennis.
He carried out an attack following the Lee Wrigley murder.
Fantastic. Well, that attack wasn't fantastic. Anyhow, yes. How shocking is that? This chap is called, my clicker can work, my bond, there you go, Zach Davies. And can you see the swastika in the background? Extreme White Power, a member of an organisation called National Action, who actually, how many of you heard of them? Anyone heard of National Action? Good stuff, I like it. Because they are actually quite prolific on campus, I've been told. Have you ever had a conversation, sir? Put your hand up. Have you ever had a conversation with National Action?
No.
No? How did you know about them?
On the internet.
Okay. On the damn internet. Nobody, that's why I get people to stand up and talk to the guy next to you, because you're never going to speak to him, otherwise you'll end up tweeting him on the way home, won't you? Or even right now. Maybe you've tweeted the person next to you. Zach Davis was from a place called Mold, M-O-L-D, in North Wales. And I just happened to be going there next week, actually. There's no paying Mold, is it? So what's going on? You're not going to be looking after your kids. You don't know how to speak English? Boom, boom. You didn't get that one, did you? North Wales, no. President, yeah, no. Prime Minister. Ethnic minorities don't speak English, women, so therefore radicalisation, increased risk, yeah? Okay, so Zach Davis was Welsh. He was a member of National Action, and yeah, he went and killed, attempted, luckily, Dr. Bamra, and this is the sad irony of it, or the kind of the good side of the story. He was stopped. When he was in the attack, in the shop, Tesco's, with his machete, tried to hack off Dr. Bamra's head. He said, "This is for Lee Wrigley." And you know the guy who stopped him? He was an ex-military person. And he was just there doing his own shopping, and he happened to stop him. He says, "What are you doing? This is not what the military stand for. This is not what it's about." Okay? And if that person wasn't there, if he hadn't stopped him, Dr. Bamra would have lost his life. People talk about ideology an awful lot. You've heard a little bit about that from from Mufti Zaid earlier on, right? Ideology of Islam and how it's been hijacked by Wahhabism and all that lecture. I'm not going to go down that line. All I want to say to you is that there is a lot of ideological influence that is also affecting some of our students, our people, our masses. And I'm not just talking EDL and Britain First and all the rest of it, because, let's be honest, they just want to get, I don't want to swear, but they just want to get drunk, don't they? But the serious hard nuts of the white extreme world are people who read things like the White Man's Bible here, all right? Things like the Turner Diaries, which basically speak about a utopian world in which there are no non-white people. So there is that threat out there. And so I just wanted to caveat that at the start. When we talk about extremism, we talk about terrorism, why do we suddenly just go to brown people? Why do we suddenly go to the Middle East? There's that South African comedian, who's a proper comedian, by the way, he's not pretending like me. And he did this rant the other day. It's fantastic. I forgot, does anyone know his name? I forgot his name. Trevor Noah, as in Ark. Trevor Noah. Look him up if you don't, if you've not heard it. Fantastic. And he makes this point that I've just made to you here. Okay, any shock, horrors, walls? No comments? I'm happy to take comments. Don't be frightened. This thing is just, it's just there. Don't worry, there's no bomb underneath it. Okay? It's, gosh, it's hot in here. Just no hair. Okay, who's heard of this gentleman here? Muslim people, Muslim audiences, if you know, don't spoil my fun. Let's just make the non-Muslims here sweat a little bit more. Who's heard of this guy? I'm glad you're laughing at me. Sorry, with me, not at me. Anyone heard of this guy? Seen this guy? Recognize him? Not at all. Shock, horror. He's brown. And guess what? He's not a terrorist. Alright? I shouldn't smart joke about it at all. He very, very sadly lost his life. Muhammad Salim, coming back from the masjid in Brom. I can't remember the name of the masjid, but he was in a masjid praying his Isha Salah, the last evening prayer, and he was brutally attacked. And if I don't remember, please going to do a prayer for him. And also there's a gentleman in Rochdale, my hometown, that was just killed brutally as well last night. We still don't know the circumstances, but it's horrific anyway. So this gentleman was coming back after prayers, and he was killed by this person here, who said that he killed him because he was non-white, because he wasn't white. The interesting thing was, Pablo Lapchin, his name was, and come on, clicker. I'm going to give it a second a minute. It's not happening. He says there that he killed him because he was not white, but he was prepared when he was arrested and everything. When the story unraveled, there were attempts and plans to bomb over 6 major mosques in Birmingham. So he was ready to go, nail bomb attacks and all the rest of it. White supremacist, but interestingly, and this is why I put the question mark up there, religion stroke race. Did he get it confused or not? Did he deliberately attack this person because he was, as he says, not white, or did he attack him because he was Muslim? Question mark, just leave that for you to think about. The point is, there are extremists out there from both spectrums, and we just need to be aware of that, as well as the other side of the coin. And just to illustrate that, I'm sure you've seen images like this. Just quick little anecdote. The people behind that campaign, Britain First, I challenged them personally through a friend of mine who's kind of been working with people like Tommy Robinson and others on the far right, and mentors them, tries to keep them, kind of mentor them away from this situation. And I said, look, if these guys have got a problem with Islam, my personal view, and I've said this, there's videos out there where I've said this, and I've been attacked for it, but hey, it's not a problem. I don't believe, and just caveat this before you start getting alarmed, the word Islamophobia, I think it's a misnomer, yes? Because Islam means what? Peace and love, yeah? Fairy cakes, happiness, all the positive stuff. And so you're being fearful of peace and love. It's a bit of a misnomer for me, but again, I suppose it's irrational, isn't it? And that is what phobias are. So in that sense, I suppose Islamophobia is there. But anyway, I put it out to these guys and said, look, if you've got a real problem with Islam, then come and talk to someone who kind of knows a little bit about it. Alright? And I'll hook you up with other people who think they know about it as well, if you don't like my turban. And they refused. And interestingly, they refused because they denounced me as a non-Muslim. When we do our workshops with schools and students, we talk about identity, and we'll speak about that in a little while, being one of the key vulnerability factors. And when I do my identity bit, I talk about how proud I am of being a British Muslim. And this lady says, well, he can't be a Muslim because he's proud of being English. And if he's proud of the St. George's flag, well, you know the St. George's flag's got a cross in between it, so how can you possibly be proud of that if it's Christian? So I've had takfir on me by Britain First, which is quite cool, because normally from other extremist groups, but hey, I'm proud of that. So, that's out there. Pegida UK is on the rise. We know what happened in Dresden, 40, 50, 60,000, some people say, coming out. And again, I believe that this is where our marketing campaign really needs to raise its bar. All right? Because if people are hateful of, they're not hateful of Islam, let's just be really clear about it. They're not hateful of Islam. When I've sat in a carriage on a train and I've been dressed like this, or I've been dressed in more professional attire, not that this is not professional attire in any way, shape or form, but kind of more what we would call Western attire, And I've had those conversations with people who like thinking, oh my gosh, who's that bearded bloke there? I don't want to talk to him, I'm scared. And all I've done is just crack a stupid little joke, you know, offer a smile and there you go. It just, you know, we're normal human beings. We breathe, we smell, we eat and drink, and yeah, we do smell. Good smell, that is. Prophet loved two things exceptionally well: smell, as in clean, scent, and women folk. Very, very kind to women folk. So hey, that's why perfume's so expensive. Anyhow, enough of my sad jokes. Why have I put that one up there? This one is significant. Can you see the flag on the left here? I'm not sure how clear it is from where you're sat. But that black thing in the middle is known as the deathstead symbol. And that deathstead symbol used to be placed on the Gestapo in Hitler's time on their helmets. Okay? So it was like one of their symbols. And these guys, Blood and Honor, is a music scene that, again, ascribes itself to something called Combat 18. Does anyone know what 18 stands for in the far right world? You said that? Go for it, well done. AH. Okay, Adolf Hitler. Okay? 1 being the first letter and H being the eighth letter. So this is all Nazi stuff. Why is that significant? Because the flag on the right to it, Northeast Infidels, alright, that's an offshoot of EDL. These guys would never ever see eye to eye before. They would never be on a platform together. But now, because of what, this is my point of view, because of what ISIS have done, because of what we've had all the terror attacks in the name of Islam, these guys are saying we've only got one enemy now, and it's a common enemy. So their internal factions and divisions that they used to have and suffer from, they've gone, because now they have a common enemy, and that is, in their words, not mine, Islam. So that's why I put that up there. Okay, let's get on with the nitty-gritty. What do we know about this guy? Come on, don't be shy. You're allowed to speak. Anyone recognize, first of all, hands up in the air? About 20-30% of you. Ladies over there, please, and gentlemen. Sorry, my glasses are not very good. Whoops. That would be really funny, wouldn't it, if I fell. They're like, see, you should stop being such a walkabout Imam and just stand there and be normal like everybody else. Sir and gentlemen, wherever was, put your hands up. What do you know about this guy? Who put the hand up? Someone put the hand up over here.
He's a bit nuts. He's not exactly representative.
Well, who is he, first of all? It might be Mr. Chowdhury. What do we know about him?
He's a British agent.
He's a British agent. Who said that?
Yes, I said that.
Huh? Did I hear a voice? Was that from the British government?
Yes.
Home Office speaking. Sorry, who is he? Yes, sir?
British agent who's paid fully by Social Security and British government, and
Interesting.
they let him roam around everywhere.
Yeah.
And say anything.
That's right, they do that.
People let him
He's fighting, unfortunately.
and he will be shooting fighters for Syria.
Okay, so, let me get straight.
It's all on Google, there's nothing secret about it.
Oh shit, Google, best source of information ever. Of course, everything on Google has to be that. Sorry, no, sir, I'm not. My style is a little bit, you've already recognized my style, I'm sorry. I'm not being disrespectful to you at all, I should take my words back. Google is a great source of information. Just put that out there, just in case. But I respect your opinion. Yes, I totally respect your opinion. What do we know?
Which highly likely to be true.
That's fine. So tell us more then. Just tell us more.
Well, he's allowed to take recruit people.
Yeah.
First he misguide young Muslims. He comes with a fake version of Islam.
Yeah.
Misguide people and young people like, you know.
I mean,
and then recruit them, and he's been sending them. He's allowed to let them take them to Syria. They destroyed Syria, Iraq. They're doing. There's no problem in terrorism in this country. This country is not being destroyed. It's Syria, Iraq, Afghanistan have been destroyed on the pretext of 9/11.
On the pretext of 9/11, okay, all right. Brilliant. Thank you
With
for that.
Muslim kids who died in millions.
Yes.
One or two guys killed here. This is just normal isolated cases. And I think you've been overemphasizing those.
So was it last sentence?
You've been overemphasizing like that Welsh case,
Yeah.
which is an isolated incident.
Yeah.
But in Syria, as we speak, thousands of people are dying,
Yes.
kids and refugees, and Iraq. And these Western governments are behind it, and they use guys like these.
Okay. Look, let me be dead serious now. I'm not here,
Let's
number
be
one.
serious.
Yes, because I was trying to make this a little bit more accessible, right? That's what my first part of the presentation was. But if you're touching upon an opinion, which I think Mufti Saab took a question on as well, which is that basically the real source of all of this violence and terrorism, yeah, let me just play back your words. The real source of this terrorism and violence is foreign policy, is the governments, yes?
And secret policy as well.
Secret agents and all the rest of it. And all that is actually really there because they want to... Well, actually, let me just ask you the last point, because I don't want to put words into your mouth. Why are they doing all of that, sir?
Sorry?
Why are they doing all of that?
Because Britain and America known to destroy third world countries and keep them.
Why? Why do they want to do that?
To plunder their resources, oil, gold, diamonds, in Africa, for example.
Right, thank you.
Apartheid.
Okay, thank you very much. You can have that opinion, and
There's no opinion, it's fact.
thank you, sir. You can have that opinionated fact. What I'm going to share with you now, and I'd be interested to hear your views after I showed you a couple of clips from people who are out there. And again, you know, take it as it is, but this is voices of apparently people who look and sound Muslim, like the chap on the screen. And the reason why I put that up there is because when I put Zach Davis, when I put Dr. Vanbrugh, Mohammed Salim, Pablo Lapchin, no one's got a clue. But I just have to put that chap up there, yes? And we all know. So, you know, the point is, of course, and I'm talking to an intelligent audience here, I probably didn't even need to put that up there, but why have I done it? Just to show to you the media bias. We know that that's there. But that media bias, it causes a mindset in the domain, in the society at large. And that's what we've got to deal with. That's our responsibility. Certainly, my responsibility as a religious leader, that's the domain that I have to work in. So that's the reason why I did that. We'll come back to your points on that. But I'm really gutted I put this clip on now because the very first sentence I don't like. And you'll hear it and understand why. But just hear it and we'll have a conversation afterwards.
Front lines of Syria's bloody civil war. Jihadist volunteers now make up around 10% of the rebel forces.
You hear that?
Intelligence sources suggest that at least 100 British citizens have now joined their ranks.
I want to address the people of Britain. Britain, the government are doing crimes and you're taking the blame. You are the people in the society and you can take control. You have the power to remove your governments. Remove your governments out of your land because they're the ones who are committing the crimes. Like the guy in Woolwich, he explained that David Cameron will never walk on the street and he'll never get shot in the face. Whereas you guys who are soldiers or just normal folk will take the blame for the crimes that are committed worldwide by Britain itself. So we have to fight. It's part of our obligation in Islam to protect our honour, to protect our women.
Part of our obligation to fight. And I put that clip up there deliberately. It's not, again, 10 minutes. Oh, gosh. Vice News. Okay, I'm going to have to fast forward now because I've been so jovial. That's a very telling clip. Somebody who's out there has joined the ranks and is explaining why he's there. And also trying to justify, as he said, he quoted Michael Bellagio, this is why we're doing it. They're at battle, it's a jihad situation. So we'll look at that, what that means in a second.
Where are you from?
I'm from Britain. How old are you?
I am 26.
Why are you here?
I'm here to help the Muslims in Syria for jihad and to raise the flag of La ilaha illallah.
Again, say it again, jihad, that's the purpose, that's the cause for their action.
What do you feel while you are here? What
I'm
is
here.
your feeling? You are in Al-Qaeda now.
Yes, my feeling is great and alhamdulillah, I'm happy that I'm here. And I'm here to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'm not here to please anyone else but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Sincerity in their voice. I'm doing this for a religious purpose. And I thought to myself, when I had this invitation, Imam Irfan Chishti from the Manchester Masjid, come and speak to us about terrorism. And I'm like, why? What's that got to do with me? Well, this is the reason why. It's because there are people like that, and you can think and say whatever you want about it, but these people do exist. I don't know where they've come from, I don't know who's paid them, I don't know who's paying their paychecks, I don't know which government. Somebody said to me the other day, ISIS, you really know what it stands for? Went for it, Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. Alright? And we can mock and laugh about that, but there are serious people out there that have those serious views. Okay? And so this is why I'm here, because these guys are tarnishing, hijacked the faith that I and the rest of the 2 billion or so followers that we have across the globe follow. And that's why we have to speak out against it. That's their world plan, their world vision. Is it going to happen? I for one hope, and I'm pretty convinced that it's not. I've heard people say who've come out from there and talk about the extremities and harshness from within and say that actually it's so harsh that it's going to self-destruct. And that's about power and struggle. Because in that clip at the start it said Al-Qaeda. Well, Al-Qaeda as an organization have said that ISIS is too extreme. Al-Qaeda are saying that, then Houston, we've got a problem. I said to you before, this is the most upsetting slide for me. And when I put this together, I was with my friend and kind of business partner, a gentleman called Dave Walpole. He and I set this Me and You education thing up. And he'll tell you this, if at any point you hear him, I was in tears putting this slide together. Because what have they done? They've taken something that is extremely personal. That round symbol at the bottom. First of all, let's just rewind. We talk about marketing. If I say to you golden arches, you all go to a Big Mac, right? Before fillet fish. If I say to you Nike, well, if I say to you tick, you say Nike. Yes? These big organizations have got their marketing sorted. Association sells. What have these guys done? They've taken the number one thing that unites, somebody said over there about Sunnis and Shias and all the rest of it, the number one thing, the only thing that unites every single Muslim in the entire globe are those words there on the top. La ilaha illallah. So they've taken that caption and they've plastered it on their marketing. Universal appeal. But then even more disgusting and hateful and horrific and upsetting is the round symbol at the bottom, because that comes from the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, his own personal ring. It's almost like they're trying to say, lawyers amongst you will know that lawyers have the seal of approval, right? The stamp that they seal their envelopes with. And that's what the Prophet used to seal his letters when sending out to delegations across the globe. It's almost like they're saying, we have the seal of approval of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, for everything that we do. I said to you before, clock that round symbol. Where did you see it before? On their propaganda, the top right. And everything that they send out comes with that emblem, that symbol. How far from the reality of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, is their message and the message of Islam? Hinduism? What's that got to do with anything? Well, actually, just to illustrate the point again, we said a little bit about Nazism before. Yes? Where do you think they've taken their symbol from? Hinduism. That's the original Nazi symbol without the 4 dots. They've just nicked it. So regimes have done this in the past, people have done this in the past, used things which are of universal appeal, that are recognizable, that are well known, and then just doctored them for their own purposes. We'll forget that one. I want to focus just on this verse here for a second. This whole kind of extremist conversation, the number one thing that they want to achieve is divisions. They want to have this us and them world. Whereas we're saying, well, I'm saying, no, we want to have this me and you world. It's about individuals having that interaction, because that's what my God, my faith, my Allah teaches me. There is difference out there. Of course there is. You have to look here in front of you. There's huge differences amongst us. What is the purpose of diversity Islamically? Why did Allah Ta'ala, why did God Almighty make that difference occur in the first place? What was the ultimate purpose of diversity? And it's that wonderful word that so many local authorities grapple with, and politicians. Cohesion. Really, that is what God Almighty is saying. We want you to get to know each other. Now, 5 minutes on this thing here. How do you get a Muslim who accepts that one God is, the true one God is Allah, he believes in that belief in monotheism, which we've just spoken about, represented by those 4 words, La ilaha illallah. How do you get that person then suddenly, 6 months down the line, a week down the line sometimes, 2 years, whatever, suddenly saying, you know what, I need to go blow somebody out? How does that happen? Here's the journey. Tawheed is the one universal belief that unites, as I've said before, every single Muslim across the globe. Monotheism. Yes? Symbolized by those 4 words there. This is what the extremists from the Islamist political Islam perspective does. They say Tawheed, yes, but then they bolt on another concept. And they bolt on this concept called Hakimiyyah. Tawheed al-Hakimiyyah. Those Islamic studies students amongst you here, I know at least a couple, you will have done Tawheed, and you will have studied a little bit about what Tawheed is all about. Do you recognize this concept of Tawheed al-Hakimiyyah in any of our authentic classical Islamic books of literature? Doesn't exist. They've bolted it on. It's a political ideology. It's a political mindset that says that sovereignty and supremacy is for God alone. I believe that sovereignty and supremacy is for God alone, of course. But where do they take it? They take it to a different level. From that, they say that only God can make laws. Only God can make laws. So then naturally, Islamically, we have 4 sources of law. Quran, Hadith, Ijma, and Qiyas. We've got the time to go into it, but the 2 secondary sources are man-made laws. Because it's human beings who have been gifted with the talents and understanding of the Quran, the first source of Islam, direct words of God, and the Hadith is what? The Sunnah, the words of the Noble Prophet ﷺ. His actions, his deeds, his silence. So actually, you've just kicked out the entire Islamic sources, if you would believe in that. But anyway, that's a slight aside. They say no man-made laws. Why? Again, to illustrate the point, you believe in democracy and parliament. We believe in Tawheed al-Hakimiyyah, sovereignty and supremacy for God alone. You believe in man-made laws. Muslim audience will know straight away where I'm going. You have now put them both on par. You have made them both equals. What does that mean? You've committed the one sin that every single Muslim across the globe will try and safeguard themselves from. Shirk. And that is how quickly, just in 2 slides, in 3 diagrams, you can go from Tawheed to the total antipathy of that, Shirk. Tawheed was all about monotheism. Shirk is about polytheism, the total opposite. And as a result of that, once you've got them into that label, so suddenly now you are not a Muslim. I heard the back end of what Mufti Zaid was saying, he said that you know, these people don't believe you to be a Muslim if you don't believe in their ideology. Because that's what they believe you to be. If you've accepted anything like that, then you are a mushrik. And then as a result of that, we get things like this that we've seen in some of our towns here. Voting is shirk, it's totally haram. When actually, we know that the Prophet Muhammad, his election was through elections and through voting. But anyway, that's then the next stage. Once you've got them to shirk, you've now excommunicated that person. You are no longer in the fold of Islam. You are a kafir, you are a non-Muslim. And now I can deal with you differently. And I can start quoting you those verses, again, out of context, in relation to how the non-Muslims were dealt with on the battlefield. So very quickly, from there, you have this another additional bolt-on, al-wala wal-bara. Love that which God loves, hate that which God hates. What's the one thing, I've just given it to you, well, given it away. What's the one thing that God hates the most? Shirk. Right? And so I have to stay well away from all of that. But then also, this is where the divide is now clearly created. It's about us and them. It's not about me and you. And then comes the last bit, where they say, I now have to take up arms. YOLO? Well, no, YOLO. Alright? This youth culture stuff, they're really embracing it. Whereas us guys, I'm not so sure. Alright? So this is a very strong message again. If you're going to die, you might as well die a martyr. Because you die a martyr, you'll go straight to heaven, one-way ticket to paradise. Every single Muslim in the entire globe, that's what we live for. I want to end up in paradise. Take me with you, bro. Yes? That's our objective. Can you see how quickly and logically, within 3 slides, you get someone from being a totally devout, sincere Muslim, and you heard it in that clip before. He said, I'm here to please nobody other than Allah. I'm here to please God alone. That's how they do it. Now guys, I'm going to take 3 minutes on this last bit, because what time do we need to clear the hall? Like now? 8:30. Oh, look at you, giving me false timings. 8:30, right, we'll carry on. Alright, so, people talk about the counter-narrative for these guys. And you know what? For me, it's one word. And I deleted a slide here, and I'm kind of regretting it, because you're such a fantastic audience. So I'm going to undelete that slide in my head. And I'm going to make you all stand up. Come on. My Muslim audience, I do apologize. I'm not looking. I don't want any of my sisters to be thinking, what's going on here with this Imam Sahib? Alright, I'm going to turn that way. I want you to stand up, put your hands right up in the air, and hiss as loud as you can. Hiss like a snake. That's not loud enough. And pretend you were a snake. Waving in the air. Set yourself down. That was a nice photographic moment that you missed. One for your website, Mr. Money. Half of them are gone now. Right, I'm not going to make you do that again. You don't have to go into the back. Why did I do that? Come on, you smart Alif Muslims, where are you? What? No. No, not at all. I need to be elsewhere. I'm just kind of want to finish my presentation. Sorry. Okay, so why do I do that? Well, this is why I do it.
What do you feel while you are here? What is your feeling? You are in Al-Qaeda now.
Yes, my feeling is great, and alhamdulillah, I'm happy that I'm here. And I'm here to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'm not here to please anyone else but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I'm here to please Allah. So my question is, what is Allah going to be pleased with? But before we do that, that's what Islam says. The hissing snake will now make sense to you Arabists amongst you. Because if you don't hiss, you end up saying Islam. It should be be called Izhar, not Islam, as one person said. Did you get the difference? If you don't make the hissing snake sound, and now this is just a bit of an Arabic language thing, but it illustrates the point. And it made you all stand up as well. So that's the difference. Sin and Zar. Those who understand the Arabic will be able to appreciate that better than others. But really important that we get that. Okay? The word comes from submission. It is about achieving peace through submission to God Almighty. The opposite of that is what we've been talking about so far. Now do you understand why a lady hissed like a snake? Maybe. Alright. So, they talk about jihad. Well, that's a nice little summary of my thesis. I wrote a thesis back in 2003 about this word, jihad, and looked at the Islamic rulings from 4 schools of law: Hanafi, Shafi'i, Maliki, Hanbali. And what do they all say collectively? That's a nice little summary. For argument's sake, if they are on jihad, if they are fighting a war, if they are on battle, then my question to them is, well, this is what the faith is teaching you about the battle. How many of those rulings have you abided by? And if you are doing it to please God, then pleasing God would mean pleasing His rulings. Okay? So again, some of this stuff I'm sure you've seen before. I'm not going to comment too much on that. We'll run out of time. But here's just a couple of verses. That third one there is the most powerful antidote to violence, to extremism, to terrorism that there ever can be. And I know that there are some Muslims out there who quote another hadith like that speaks just about Muslims. Al-Muslim man salim al-Muslimuna bi-lisanihi wa yadihi. Yes? Many Muslims grew up with that. But there is this hadith that's narrated in Imam Tirmidhi's Sahih. And they talk about all people being safe. And so actually, I can't be a Muslim, and I was joking to you before about speaking to people in the train and whatnot. I do that deliberately, because if people have got anxiousness, if people have got anxiety, if people are worried, and people are scared, just by seeing me, then alright, they might have a problem, you might argue, but this drives me to try and relieve that anxiety. Because I cannot be a Muslim. According to that narration, the Sunnah, remember I said to you 4 sources, this is just the red and the green, or the first 2 primary sources. I cannot be a Muslim if other people are fearful of me. It's as simple as that. Al-Mu'min man aminahu an-nas, for my Arabic speaking friends amongst us. And then the jihad thing, alright? Greatest jihad is the fight against yourself. That jihad, which they talk about, has got its rulings, but it's also restricted. The Prophet ﷺ was once returning back from the battlefield, and he said to the jubilant companions around him, hey, now prepare yourself for the greater jihad, because you've just fulfilled the lesser jihad. So that's just a few scriptures there for you, antidotes, whatever you want to call them, counter-narrative, in relation to this world of horror and extremism and violence that we've just been speaking about. I think there's another couple and then it's a natural close. We haven't got time for that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to close there. I'm going to put the thank you slide on. Oh no, I'm not. I do want you to listen to this, and then we'll wrap it up. Get the lights.
Brother, what you can make nasiyah for the sisters who is in Darul Kufr? What you can say for these sisters who is there?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. First of all, I said my salams to all of them. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And may Allah set the affairs of the Muslims right. The advice that I have for the sisters, and I think all the mujahideen have for the sisters, is that they should leave the places of shirk and come to the place of tawheed. They should make hijrah. And it's very important that they understand their situation at the moment. situation at the moment that they are in is that they are in a sin, which is you are in a place of shirk, and you have a place where Tawheed has been established, even if it's in a small cave. You understand? Example, in Surah Al-Kahf, Allah mentions and praises the people of the cave. They left their place of shirk, their village, and they went to live inside the cave. In here, our brothers, the Mujahideen, we are not asking our sisters to go and live in a cave, which is even better, living in a cave without any provision, than to live in a place, in a big mansion, with shirk there. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is said and He promised that He will give provision to the ones who intend to make hijrah for His sake. And Allah is the best of providers. And He will provide from places that they will not even perceive, they will not understand. So it's very important that they come to this place. Here we have houses, we have security, we have beautiful rivers, we have, alhamdulillah, a lot of brothers and sisters are already here that came and are giving all their good ideas to implement a good, strong Islamic community. And alhamdulillah, slowly, we can see that we are establishing it. Even the enemies of Allah are paying us jizya. This is something very important to mention, and I like to mention this because you can see that the sincerity of the Mujahideen over here, and alhamdulillah, Allah bless them with that. And you make hijrah, and you see that Allah will protect you and bless your family. Now, if you have family in these kafir countries, what is going to happen most probably? You don't have control of your children. Maybe in some of the countries it's a must for you to put your children in the kafir schools. And who's going to teach your children? It's going to be maybe a gay, maybe a drug dealer, maybe a pedophile. You know, so it's very important for you to protect your children from these animals, from these dirty people. Allah says that they are the worst of creatures. So you prefer to live among the worst of creatures rather than live amongst the Mujahideen, that Allah says that they are the people that will go to Jannatul Firdaus. Make your decision, inshallah. And this is my advice. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Make your decision, guys. Now, again, time is short, so I'm going to keep this last bit really brief. That's the kind of propaganda that is widely out there and available. And when people ask me, why is it that families, whole families with young children, why are they going to a war zone? Well, that video kind of explains it. They're not being taught, and they haven't been built this idea that it is a war zone. Look at that scene at the back. Yeah? Look, we have rivers and mansions, and we're safe. No, that's not a Kalashnikov. No, I'm not worried about blah. Alright? We're safe here. It's nice and peaceful. How ironic. So, this whole thing about, and again, in the ideology bit there, I talked about Tawheed and Shirk. Did you hear it nicely and clearly there? Very well illustrated. Leave the land of Shirk. Come to the land of Tawheed. And this is the message that these guys are pushing out. I'm going to take it just to one more illustration to a verse. We've not got time to do the counter narrative. This one here. And then we'll close it with this. Again, it's a very emotional little bit of the presentation, so I'll pre-warn you. This is a verse in which chapter 16, 126 there, the verse. God Almighty is speaking about a war situation, a battle situation. Remember the verse that Mufti Zaid mentioned before about kill them wherever you are? It was only about 3 people in the battle. Well, this is about one person. I'll explain the context later on, but just look at the pure crudeness and harshness of these people. This is the chap called Adam Yahya al-Gaddan, who was Osama bin Laden's right-hand man. I've heard the clip myself, it's widely available on YouTube, in which he's saying, why should we withhold and restrain from killing your women and your children when you've killed our women and our children? Why should we withhold and just combat and attack your combatants when you've killed our innocent people? So this rant is going on and on about, he talks about colonialism, talks about Afghanistan, the whole thing that we've just had that little bit of discussion before as well. And then he quotes this verse. This is the thing, guys, and I'm not belittling anyone's opinions here, and please, I don't want you to walk away thinking this guy was just some kind of clown who was laughing all the way through, because I'm really, really passionate about this, and I'm really serious about it. Especially when it comes to my faith, and especially when it comes to my Quran. So these guys are ranting and raving about how policies and politics and all the rest of it, and hey, the Quran now tells you that if you can't respect our rules, and we're not going to respect your rules. And he quotes this verse, if you punish, respond, but only respond proportionately. And he uses that as a pretext to then say, well, we can kill your women and children because you've killed ours, and that's what the Quran says, proportionate response. But hey guys, he forgets, deliberately of course, to recite to you the rest of the verse. وَلَئِن صَبَرْتُمْ لَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لِلصَّابِرِينَ. But if you don't respond, if you don't retaliate, then that is much better for you. And let me tell you now the context. The context is this. The context is the martyrdom of Sayyidina Hamza. An uncle, a very dear person to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him. He was brutally killed in a battle. And not just killed, his body was chopped up afterwards, his liver was taken out and chewed. That was the hatred that the people had for the Prophet Muhammad at that time, some of those people. His liver was chewed. When the news of his death came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, he said, I want to go and see his body. And they all said, no, you can't. Because they knew how dear he was to him. But he insisted and he went. He saw the body. He saw the mutation that took place. And he finished seeing this horrific scene. He raises his hand to the Lord Almighty and says to God, Oh Allah, oh God, as they have done this to one of my Hamza, may I allow to do this to 70 of their men. They've done this to one of my men, to someone so dear. And out of anguish and pain and that suffering that he saw, from that context he prayed and he said, I want to do this to 70 of theirs. That's when the verse was revealed. That's when God Almighty said, no. Retaliate, but only in proportion to what has happened to you. So if you are going to retaliate for what they did to Hamza, then only do that to one person in return. And even then, God Almighty implores him, even then, even though we had those horrific circumstances, God Almighty still insists and states, وَلَئِن صَبَرْتُمْ لَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لِلصَّابِرِينَ. That, my dear friends, my brothers and sisters, is Islam. Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah, thank you very much. Just going to plug, if I may, some interesting vlogs on our website. They're not live yet, but please do keep in touch. Scholar, the Skinhead, meandyoueducation.co.uk. You see, in 2003, in between that time, I did my kind of Islamic stuff. I was really, really intrigued as a young child reading the Quran. Somebody asked a question there about memorizing the Quran. Somebody there asked about, you know, was it possible that they just learned the Quran and not understood the full context of it? And I remember racing with my two elder brothers, racing through the recitation of the Quran. My Muslim colleagues here will know exactly what I mean when I say Khatam Sharif, and they're reading the Quran Sharif Spara and trying to get rid of, you know, stuff like that. Trying to finish the Spara as quickly as possible. And at the age of 8, I decided that, you know what, one day I'm going to try and understand what these squiggly lines mean on this page for me. I never had that opportunity until after I graduated. I'm really grateful that I had that opportunity. My parents still put up with me in my kind of perennial education kind of vibe. So that MA brought me back to Manchester in 2003, where I did, I'm not sure if you heard that, but it is significant because lots of people have been speaking about Osama bin Laden. When 9/11 hit, I was up the road, on this road here, right at the end, just before you get to Dickinson Road. It's now a solicitor's office, but it used to be a shop that my brother owned called Ruby Books, Islamic bookstore. And I was just there, happened to be there, helping him out one day, and the news hit. And ever since that time, kind of 6-7 months on, lots and lots of questions, people asking, someone like myself who's just come back from Egypt, done his Islamic qualifications, what's this jihad business? What's this Osama bin Laden saying about, you know, killing everybody and anybody indiscriminately? So this whole question around jihad was out there. And he put out a fatwa to say that, and this is 1997, believe it or not, he put out a fatwa saying, anybody out there, the verse that I just mentioned there, that's the basis in which he based his fatwa, which was basically anybody who is combatant or non-combatant is eligible to die, to be killed, you know, if they support the policies of their government. Now, that's the only little background I'm going to tell you. I'm going to crack on because we've got quite a lot of stuff to go through. The Me and You thing up there, I left it up there because that's my day job, that's my training consultancy, and I go up and down the land speaking to people about essentially community cohesion, how we can protect ourselves from the risk that is out there. And yes, it is a very real risk out there, regardless of what people say about policies and all the rest of it. And I know what the National Union students have said about it, and I'm not here to defend it in any way, shape or form. Please, whoever's writing notes from the government, I am not here to promote or otherwise, right? Get that for the record, please. All right, what I'm here to present to you is just some thoughts with you in relation to the kind of stuff that I did, because I thought to myself, I don't want to be too disingenuous here, because I do this every day, these presentations and Me and You stuff in schools and colleges up and down the land. And if I'm going to be speaking to some adult people in a very adult and a very honest manner, I want to keep it, you know, in the same way. So all I've done is I've cuts various slides of mine that are not relevant to this audience, but in the main, what you'll be seeing in my presentation is exactly the same stuff that I do up and down the land with colleges, with schools, with teachers, to try to make them understand a little bit about the faith that I profess and how I believe that it's been hijacked by certain people, and that, you know, how I feel about it. So that's me. Nobody's hand went up, and I'm really glad that most of your hands went up. So it just shows you've obviously got nothing better to do in your lives. It's important duty. So who's going to explain to me, please? Audience participation. Tell me, somebody over here who said that they've played it. What is it all about? Killing. More than that? Twiddle your thumbs and do it. Okay, what happens if you die in the game? You what? Respawn. Who said that? Fantastic. Respawn. For those of the rest of the audience, the one person here hasn't played it, what is Respawn all about?
You become alive again.
Resurrection. Okay, cool. See? There's a religious link. Okay? That was just so that you could say that they come back to life and that we believe in the afterlife. Hey, we got a point there, Muslims. Fantastic. Is that really what it's about? I'm not so sure. I better shift it because I'm going to kick it. That's not what it's about. There's a serious side to it. It's a game, and I do exactly the same spiel when I'm in school, so I'm going to give you the same line that I give to them. It's a game. It's not real. You play on a screen, you twiddle your thumbs on some kind of console, and you pretend you are in the battle. It is not real. It might look very real. Great massive screen there. If you look at his face, it's you know, very, very realistic, isn't it? That's the whole idea of these consoles, isn't it? Right? But it's not real. This, however, is real, sadly. And ironically, if you look closely at the picture, you know, it's all kind of, doesn't look very real, does it? It's designed to make it look a bit kind of creative and a bit of an artistic impression of being. Can I just first of all give my thanks to Medina Society for finally inviting me here. No, seriously, is Rochdale here? Salam to Rochdale. Thank you. Oh, mashallah. All right. My name's Irfan. Forget about everything else that's on the screen. The most important thing there is that I am in a position of great responsibility, and I'm very, very proud and humbled, should I say, to be given that opportunity. And it is really nice to be here amongst such wonderful students at Manchester University. I'm glad Shred there, he said the Manchester Metropolitan University, and I'm just going to start off with a quick little joke, and you'll get used to my sick sense of humour. But when I was at university in '95, I graduated, so a long time ago now, I went to pray in the what was known then as the Ambrose Church. How cool is that? We had a church, it was a mosque. Hey, Muslims are taking over, yes, they did. And so it was not so far away, just at the back of what's the main graduation hall? At the back there, you know where it is, the other side. I don't think it's there anymore, is it? It's not there anymore? So you don't know about it. Anyway, we went to pray there, and this young gentleman said to me afterwards, "Oh, brother, I've not seen you here before, where are you from?" I said, I'm from here. What do you mean where I'm from? I normally get that question from people of other skin colours. And he said, where are you from? I said, I don't know, which course are you doing? I said, I'm from up the road. And he said, what do you mean? I said, I'm at the Manchester Met. And he said, what do you mean? The Mickey Mouse University? Seriously? MMU? So I'm dead proud of that. That was 95. And then did the PG. And the title there, Inside the Terrorist Mind. Wow, if you can achieve that by the end of the day, then let me know, okay? I'm not sure if I can be able to, but it is complex, and no, I'm not going to take up comedy stand as my second part-time job, you know, regardless of how many times you laugh at me. Great that you are reacting in that way, at least we'll get some kind of conversation going. So, let's kick off with this. Always be dead honest, I'm going to put up a clip, an image, and apologies to the non-Chishtis amongst you. There is some funky music, all right? Sorry, we're going to have to do this Muslim, non-Muslim thing here tonight because we've got a great non-Muslim audience and we've got some great Muslim audience as well. And the jokes are going to flip between the two. Yes, I am schizophrenic. So, here we go. Does anyone recognize this? Music, cue music. Oh, we didn't plug it in. How good are we? There it is. See, totally funky music. It gets funkier in a second, but before it does, quickly, does anyone recognize it? Who said that? These guys over here, you've all played it? Who's played it? Put your hands up if you played it. Ooh, too funky. So glad this sounds okay. Please don't tell on me. Don't tell my dad especially. Alright, no. Joking aside. Who's played it? Put your hands up. Oh, look at that. I was in a primary school. Year sixes, alright? And they all put their hands up. I was in a sixth form.